Okay, you've got your research story, you've got your career story, you're fired up, you're ready to go. But how do you find people? Well, one of the easiest ways is simply doing a cold call. Search people up on LinkedIn. Search for that specific profession. See what names come up. If you know the company you're interested in, you can look at that company on LinkedIn, see who works there. Or you can go directly to company websites. This is a great way for you to find people who are working in the fields that you're interested in. But that can be a little scary. It's not always the most comfortable thing to send an email to someone who we don't know. And if you're nervous about it, you might first turn to others in your network. This is a place to utilize what we call a warm connection. Talk to your peers, talk to your mentors, talk to your career office. If someone else can give you a connection, you have that shared person to utilize. I was just talking to so-and-so, and they said, you might be willing to talk with me about your career. That's a great way to start identifying people to conduct informational interviews with. And let's not forget about alumni. Alumni databases are a wealth of potential informational interviewees. Not only are alumni able to give you specific information about their careers, but they can also give you specific information about navigating the transition to that career from your current institution. LinkedIn has an alumni feature that we'll explore in a minute. You also can follow up with people from networking events. This is the value of giving and collecting business cards. When you have that business card, make a little note about what you talked about. Send them a connection request on LinkedIn. Hey, I really appreciated talking with you about whatever it was you discussed. I'd love the chance to talk more about your career. Following up on those in-person connections is a great way to continue identifying people for informational interviews. You also could write an article for an organization. At CU Anschutz, we have a number of different organizations that are interested in talking about science and scientific careers. I bet your graduate school has a newsletter. When you reach out to someone because you're interested in writing an article about their career, that gives you a reason to be contacting them. Another way that you can start identifying people for informational interviews. My bet is that your program or department also hosts seminars. If you think someone's doing some really interesting work, invite them in to give a seminar. Again, another way that you can bring in people with whom you can talk to. And most importantly for all of this, don't forget, most people are flattered that you want to learn more about what they do. You're reaching out to them saying, I'm currently in this position. I think I'm interested in doing what you do. Would you tell me more about that sometime? Who wouldn't want to share that information? So although you might feel nervous about reaching out to people, whether it's through a cold call, at a networking event, inviting them in for a talk, don't be. Most people are flattered by this and are more than happy to give back. I know that I have benefited from people giving me advice as I've transitioned through my own career. To be in a position where you now get to be the advice giver, that's something most people relish. So don't be nervous. No matter where you find them, start reaching out to people. As I mentioned, LinkedIn has a specific feature that allows you to identify alumni. Go to your university's homepage. You'll see in the middle of the page a tab for alumni. When you click on that, it'll give you a list of all of the alumni of your institution who are currently on LinkedIn. This is a place where you can search for a name, a company, keywords for specific careers. In this case, I used medical science liaison, and then I selected a specific company I was interested in learning more about. Here it was Regeneron, but there were many more on the list. And as you can see, there are 4 alumni from CU Anschutz who are working as MSLs at Regeneron. They're either there now or they've been there at some point in their career. This is a great place for me to find people who I can reach out to. Dear so-and-so, I'm currently a postdoc at CU Anschutz working in the field of X. I really think I'd be interested in working as an MSL, and I love the mission and values that Regeneron has. Would you have some time to talk with me about your career and those career transitions? I'd really appreciate your advice. Using both your institution and other connections increases the likelihood that someone will engage with you to do an informational interview. Once you have that conversation, though, this is when we transition into the purpose of the informational interview. What are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to gather information. I've said it before, but I need to say it again. An informational interview is not about asking for a job, and it's not about information you can find in the job posting. If you can find it online, it's not worth somebody's time. This is just like asking for directions. I'm currently a student or a postdoc working in this field. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate my career path to their destination. That's not a daunting thing to do. So don't be worried about asking for guidance. When you have those conversations, you want to get at both the technical aspects of the position as well as the personality qualities for the job. It's important to know that somebody needs training in R or Python or can conduct a specific assay. But what are those personality traits that make someone excel? Do they need to be comfortable reaching out to people? Do they need to be a consensus builder? Do they need to be somebody who can come up with a lot of ideas? All of these things are important for you as you determine whether this is the right career path to move into. So what do you want to know? This is where you need to spend some time reading online, doing your research, figuring out what you can, and then identifying what are those gaps. In the end, when you're gathering information, you want to keep it simple. Remember to be grateful for their time and advice. Good informational interviewing questions are not things that you can find in a job posting. Here are some examples. What is the best advice you would give someone starting out? What personality traits fit well with this position? What's a bad day at work like? What keeps you up at night? What are the next steps in your career path? What surprised you most about this job? What kinds of other positions did you consider? When you ask these questions, not only are you getting insight about that job, but you're learning what someone who's interested in that career also thought about doing or where they're going next. This can open a door to even more ideas for careers that are a better fit for you. Sometimes, when you hear about personality traits, you realize that's not a good fit for you. But that's okay, because you can ask the person, that's not really what I like doing. Do you know of other careers in this sector that are more focused on that? Sometimes, when you tell someone why you're interested in a career, they answer with, well, that's not really what I do, but have you ever considered this? Again, having an informational interview gives you the detailed kinds of insights that you can't find in other places. But to get the most out of it, you have to spend some time thinking about what do you want to know? What are your questions? An informational interview is not just an opportunity to gain additional insights, but it's also that opportunity to continue building your professional network. Leave each interview with a new contact. It's great that somebody lets you know about their career, what they like about it most, what else they considered. That's important information for you to have. It's great that you had an opportunity to share with them what you do for your research and the kinds of careers you're interested in. But the last piece of this puzzle is continuing to expand your professional network. So when you wrap it up, you can say something like, thank you for your time. I really appreciate all the perspectives you shared with me today. As I continue to explore this career, can you think of anyone else who might provide a good perspective? When they suggest that name, that then becomes your opening when you reach out to the next person in line. That letter would look something like, Dear so-and-so, I recently spoke to the shared connection about my interest in an MSL career, and they told me you would be a great person to ask for more advice. I don't expect you to have a position or be aware of any openings at this time. I was just hoping you might meet with me for 30 minutes to discuss your own career path. If you're willing, I'm happy to call you the week of whatever to arrange a time to meet. And I know your time is valuable, and I promise to be brief. Again, in this way, you're being clear about why you are asking for this meeting, what you're hoping to learn, and sharing that shared connection. All of these things increase the likelihood that people will continue conducting informational interviews with you. All right, the final step for getting ready to conduct your informational interviews is to figure out who do you want to talk to and what do you want to ask them. Up next is an activity to identify those potential contacts and create the specific questions that you want to ask.